In this video, we want to talk about the setup page and how it's used to manage child institutes if your institute has been given that functionality at the time of creation. But before we do that, we want to talk about what is a child institute and why would you want to set one up. So you can see if we go to the message tab and we look at our main institute that we've been working with in the previous videos, we can see that we've got 1,000 messages remaining. And what this 1,000 messages remaining refers to is that currently per the Twitter API, it only allows you to send out 1,000 direct messages via your application if the application is utilizing the Twitter API. So per day, you can only send out 1,000 messages using your Twitter account and the Twitter application that we set up in a previous video through institutional alerts. So once you run up against that 1,000 message per day buffer, how do you go about sending out more messages if you need to your specific end users that you're looking for? And the way to do that is to set up a child institute underneath your main institute. So if our main institute is our DIS Developer 1 account that we're signed in as, you might have noticed in the drop-down menu before you can select from different accounts. One item to note as we're going through talking about child institutes is that in this drop-down list, child institutes, which is what we're talking about in this video, will show up. However, any other institute which you've been given access to by an administrator will also show up in this list. So this list is a combination of both children institutes as well as any other institute that an administrator has provided you access to. And so if we go and click on DIS Developer 11, we can see that it also has 1,000 messages remaining, but something different that we can see if we go over to the admin tab. We can see that its group, role, and user structure is completely different and separate from our DIS Developer 1 institute structure. Let's click on that just to compare. So you can see we've got different groups, roles, and then users for DIS Developer 1 compared to DIS Developer 11. And so what this allows you to do, this Child Institute DIS Developer 11, is say you need more granularity within your institution in order to separate who can send messages to a particular set of users, or you are constantly running up against the 1,000 message daily limit and you need to be able to send out messages that are pertinent to your organization. This structure with child institutions allows you to do that, set up completely different structures and manage a completely different user set than might be in your original institution. And so to do that, so if we want to come in and create a child institute for DIS Developer 11, come over to the setup page, and what we would need to do is create the institution name, and we need to use the actual Twitter handle that we would want to be the child institute. And once we save credentials, we can move over to the messaging tab and select from our institute that we've now created, our child institute. And if we do that, we'll get this message saying, hey, you're not following this particular user handle on Twitter. So we have to do that before we can access that particular child institute on the institutional alert site. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So you can see we're now following Institute 1 on Twitter. So if we go back over to our institutional alerts page and we're on our messaging tab, we can come over and select it from our child institutes list. And now we have to accept the terms of service. And here's where in a previous video we talked about when you initially set up a institutional alerts account, you have to go through the Twitter credentials application process, and so you need to do that complete process. And once you do that, get your consumer key, secret, and tokens. You can save those credentials. And once you've got all your credentials entered and you saved it, you could go back into the admin tab and you could then create your group, role, and users, and then go to the messaging tab and create your messages just like you would any other institution, and it would be a child, consider a child institute underneath your main institutional account. That's all there is to setting up a new child account, child institutional alerts account, to avoid the issue of running up against a 1,000 message daily limit alert within your main institution.